objective is talking on what is high availability, what is disaster recovery, what is HADR solution, and how do we implement that. Let me start with what is high availability, right? So what is your understanding on high availability?
Like load balance related.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm listening. Yeah.
Yes. So sometimes the one system is high preference. Means the usage is very high, so we can share the documents or anything to other systems.
So high availability is nothing but providing highest availability. Availability of
Yes.
your instances, availability of your business. Let's say you are a
Mm-hmm.
owner of ICICI Bank. So
Mm-hmm.
people don't like if you say your site is down every day like 10-15 minutes. They won't like it.
Yes.
You have to provide your website services 24/7 unless it's very, very critical, right?
Yes.
So high available solution must shield user applications from the failure without appreciable performance degradation or even loss of availability. So the user applications are not aware of the failure. Similarly, a high availability solution must respond to the failure to contain its effect. For example, if a mission fails in a cluster. Also, it recovers from the failure to return the system to normal operations. For example, if a standby database takes over database operations for a failed primary database, the failed database might restart, recover, and take over once again as the primary database. These three tasks must be accomplished with a minimal effect on the availability of the solution to user operations. For example, if I have an earthquake or some kind of a worst scenario on my primary data center area, how faster I can come back online on a secondary area. That's controlled by my high availability solution. So here we are not talking about 100% uptime. We are not talking here about 100% uptime. We are talking about here 99.99 or 9999 uptime. There is other concept called continuous availability. In the concept of continuous availability, you are talking about 100% uptime. No matter what your systems are 100% available. Not even a single minute downtime or a single second downtime. So this continuous availability in DB2 is provided through a concept called pure scale feature, which is introduced in 10.1. What are all the various things in high available solution? You can implement high available solution through redundancy or system monitoring or load balancing, failover, right, and maximizing the performance and minimizing the impact on performance. These are the important terms. Clustering, database logging. These are all the important things that comes under high available solution. Now, if that's all high available solution, what is disaster recovery? Disaster recovery is broadly a term that refers to the activities you and I take care in case of a disaster,
Right.
right? For example,
Yeah.
if floods happen and if worst case scenarios happen, so things happen, right? And our primary data center is down, right?
Right.
So how do we bring your business back online on the disaster side, from disaster side? A plan for disaster recovery can include a remote site to be used in case of an emergency, a different mission on which to recover the database. Offsite storage of either database backups, table space backups, or both, and archived logs. Now, what are all the high available solutions and what are all the disaster recovery solutions that DB2 offers? Under high availability, first one is HADR, high availability disaster recovery. High availability feature through clustering. You can do this at OS level. You can have two missions clustered together. High availability through disk mirroring. High availability through log shipping. Under disaster recovery, you have backup and recovery. So you take regular backups on a primary site. When disaster happens, you go to disaster recovery site and you start restoring it. HADR, that's what we are going to talk. You can look at a replication solution, a replication of an entire database or replication of parts of it. InfoSphere change data capture, and this is another replication solution, but like one, and remote disk mirroring. Now the one that is very popular out of this is HADR. Now that's what we are going to see through this next slides now. What are the prerequisites for me to set up HADR pair? Two basic missions, at least I need two missions, right? Like this. I need to have two missions like this. There are two different boxes at least, where one acts as a primary, another one acts as a standby. Host name of HADR pair cannot be same on both servers. This is not true completely, but generally the whole concept of us implementing HADR is so that we can have worst case scenario, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, I tried implementing HADR on a single VM itself. It worked. It works too. So, but for a best practice, we don't do that, right? Because we keep all of them in two separate boxes. Also, to DB2 level must return same output on two databases. When I run here DB2 level, it should show the same output, same versions and everything. Please note that HADR is a database level. HADR is a database level. You can't enable it at entire instance level. Right. In our VM, I'll be making sure that my firewall is stopped already, and all the setup already done yesterday for federation. So adding the IP addresses from pinging one guy from the other guy. Can I do that? Ping test one. No, I don't think I can do that. So the first prerequisite is adding these IDs here.
Yes.
When I say ping test one, yeah, I'm able to ping it. Similarly, when I ping RHL1, sorry, it's not RHL1, RHL2, I'm able to ping it. So this is another prerequisite. Also, we have another prerequisite is we need two different port numbers. Like I said, HADR is at a database level. So we need to have communication at a database level. So that communication happens through various port numbers. So let me see if I can add these port numbers here, or I can use anything existing. What happens is with instance setup, you by default get some port numbers. DB2 NS some port numbers _1, _2, _3, and _4. You can use these port numbers, or if you want, we can add ourselves some port numbers such as HTest1, some port numbers like 60009, TCP, HTest2, TCP. To be on the same page, let's add these two new port numbers on both sides. Right. Now these are the two prerequisites, pinging each server from other one and adding the two port numbers, HTest1 and HTest2, or for, yeah, okay, that's okay. Now I'll be following up with the HADR setup, important setup. So I'll go to the primary box, right? I will go to the primary box. I'll just go to this directory. Now do I have the directory created? I want to use this black and white screen as a primary one. I'll go to cd mount storage. I don't have a HADR directory, so I make HADR, right? I go to HADR folder. Then I make AR DB path, storage, archive logs, backups. I will repeat the same thing on the other server as well, both standby as well. Right. Now what I'll be doing here is I'll be going ahead and creating database. So under HADR I need to change this, change owner, DB2 ID, DB2 NST2, change owner, DB2 NST2, DB2 IADM1, storage, backups, archive logs, DB path. So I'll exit here as a root and I run this command. DB2, I'm just creating a new database here. So what I'm doing here is I'm adding a new database. Like I said, HADR is at a database level. And we are adding that. To do that, I'm creating a new database. So once I create the new database, I'll enable the archive logging method. So this is most important. The transaction log enablement. So once that is done, I quickly take a backup so that it is consistent. Then I create a table. Then I'll update some parameters on the primary side. Then I'll take a backup. Then I transfer the backup from primary side to secondary side. On a secondary side, I will restore that backup. Then I'll update some parameters on the secondary side. Then I start HADR on secondary. On a primary, and I start it on primary. So it's a sequence of steps. There is nothing else here. You just need to follow some basic steps.
Okay.
I'm changing the ownership for the files that I created. If the database creation is complete, now what I'll be doing is I'll be running these next steps just blindly. I'm updating these configuration parameters. Then I say DB2 connector to HTest. It will fail, that is expected. Now I need to take this backup. So when we update this configuration parameter, we need to immediately take a backup. This is such an important configuration parameter, but I'm just bluffing here that I'm taking a backup to null device. That's okay. Then I say DB2 connect to HTest. Then DB2 create table T1 column 1 integer. Insert into T1 values 100 and 99 here. So I created a table here and I inserted one record. My objective is to access this record from here in case of this goes down. Now let me go to the next page. So I need to update these parameters now. So for time being we can skip this. So what are these parameters? Now what is my IP address here? I have config, sorry, ping test1, ping RHL2. So these are my IP addresses. That's the same thing I need to update here. What is my local IP address? This is the parameter I need to update. What is my local service name? It's a lowercase htest1. The case matters here. Which is 140, it's a remote server. So these are the configuration parameters at a DB level. HADR localhost, HADR local service, remote host, remote service. Just so what is the remote instance name? DB2 INST2. Log index build on, this is on, this is on, this is on. Okay. You can leave them as it is. I will just go ahead and blindly run this on a primary server. Right? Now once that is done, I'm doing nothing, man. I'm just blindly following whatever I've done here. I'll stop and start it. It says that manager is already active. We do terminate. Stop and start. Right? So once I do start and stop and start, these parameters are active. Now I'm going to this backups directory. I'm running this command. This command takes the backup. Backup is completed. Now what I am doing is I am going to transfer this backup to the other mission. What is other mission? DB2 INST2 at the rate remote server. The location is this one. Yes. Password for DB2 INST1 I have is password only. It is transferring the backup image to the other location. Everything inside this directory backups it is transferred. Now once this is done, I am done with my primary for the moment. Now then my focus should be switching to secondary. On the secondary also I have already created the same directory structures. Now if I go to HADR backups, I should be able to see this file that got transferred from here, from there to here. Right? Now the next step I have here is restoring this backup. When it was taken, this is a taken moment. So I'm still as a root. I will go back. Now what it does is it starts the restore. If you want to see the restored progress, you can go to other terminal and run this command. If you open a duplicate session, NST2, why not? It's a DB2 NST2. When I say DB2 list utilities, show detail, you can see these utilities progress, load or backup or restore. Oh, wait, did not return anything. Did it complete? Yeah, the restore is running. Show detail. So this much is the completed work. You can see the file size here. So you can compare the completed work here. It's almost done. It's all done. So whatever is the size here, it restored. Now once our restore completes, what are our next steps? You go and check these parameters. These are the parameters and we have already updated HTest1 and HTest2 here. The next parameters, next concept is updating these configuration parameters. This is going to happen on standby. Now on standby, my local host is 140. My remote host is 1. Here it is HTest2 and HTest1. My remote instance is DB2 INST1. And remaining all parameters are same. See, HADR I've been this fast because I have done so far like at least 30-35 times. It comes with practice. You have to do it 3-4 times. You have to go through these recordings and do it. It might be a little faster, it might look like initially, but you have to go through it. It's more of a setup, nothing else. Nothing is there. So then I say DB2 terminate. Then I say DB2 stop and start. Then I connect to HTest. So this is expected. This is what the message you are seeing. That's expected. Our standby should be always in a roll forward pending only. Because after the restore we have to apply the transactional logs, or we have to say without rolling forward. That we are not going to do. we want to keep our standby always in roll forward pending so that it can apply logs that are coming from primary. So you see I have just started HADR here. It says it successfully started. And when I say DB2 PD hyphen DB test hyphen HADR, you should be able to see the status. Status is disconnected, remote catch up pending because primary is not started yet. Now let's go ahead and start the primary.
Okay.
Now we go back to primary and I start HADR on primary here. This is a crucial part, right? The whole setup, whether it is successful or not, this command determines that. It's not looking like it's good, man. So one thing we do here is we start looking at from the diagnostic log. The location is under DB2 dump. Yeah, you see, it had some issues. It's not able to form TCP IP connection with. Do we have a firewall running here? No, firewall is also not running. So you see here DB2 question mark, this error, and look for 7, reason code 7. If I scroll it up, the reason code 7, what it says, so somewhere the configuration I messed it up. I did not do well. Okay. If I open db2 and go to the end, if I see null was at 60,010, unable to establish HADR primaries. The port number somewhere is not true.
That's not sure.
DB2 get DB config for H test F-I H. What is my local host? Which is 143. That's nice. When I grab for H test 1 from ABC services 6009. Where is the remote service? Ping this guy here. That's nice. So at 60,010 the remote guy is listening. So this looks good. DB2 DB config for H test F-HADR. Local host is 140. Local guy is listening at H test 2. Is this because I have used lowercase instance names? Update DB config for HTest user. INST2. Let me see if firewall running here. Ideally, we need to open the ports from network team. Not able to form a TCP connection with the standby. Why? Why? It's definitely somewhere in the setup we did not do well. I did not do well here. What is that? It's just one or it's just two. Oh boy, why is this DB2 INST1 here? Why? It should be INST2, right? Both are INST2s here, right? Man, that's the reason. That should be one of the reasons, so that's the reason. No, but still the problem. Yeah, that kind of mistakes, if you do DB2 get DB config for each test, it should be DB2 INST2. We have same thing here. I think it's better once we stop and start it again, everything. Let's say stop HADR on his test as standby. I stopped, I deactivated, and I'm starting it again now. You see it started now? Started like a bullet. Right, the mistake I have done here was on standby node, I did not update it to DB2 INST2. Saying that remote instance, I said it's INST1. Now it started here when you say DB2 PD hyphen DB HADR, sorry, HTest hyphen HADR. Now you should be able to see something here called connected. Should be a peak state. Now if I go to the screen here, if I say DB2 connected to HTest, and I say select start from T1, I see one record here. Now if I log in here on the primary, connect to HTest, I see the same record here. But the whole concept of this HADR is when I insert into T1 some values, same record will be immediately taken coming to standby as well. I haven't created any symbolic links or synonyms or nicknames like we have done in Federation. It comes automatically through log files, right? So let's say if I insert into T1 values 120, the same record will be coming here. Now my test 1 is primary and RHL2 is standby. You see, any questions so far, Syed? We have to blindly follow the steps here, but just need to double check the setup. It's mostly setup issues only. Questions till now, Sayed? Sayed, you are there? Okay. I'll take that as a no. Now one thing I want to show here is how do we switch roles. Now if you look at here, my test one is primary and RHL2 is standby. This is my primary, this is my standby. Standby is only read only, okay? Now I want to switch the roles. I want to make test 1 as standby, RHL2 as primary. How do I do that? That's the exercise number 1 in the next slot. If you want to make standby as a primary, you need to log into standby host and you need to use a command called takeover. I'll here DB2 takeover HADR on database htest. Right? DB2 takeover HADR on database htest. Now when I say DB2 PD now htest hyphen HADR, you should see this white screen as primary now. This is as a standby. The original primary became a standby, now original standby became a primary. This is how you switch roles. And another important exercise here that I would like you to do is in which order to stop. Just in case if you want to stop, in which order we are going to stop. This is the order we are following. We have to first stop HADR on standby, then only we have to stop HADR on primary. Sometimes what happens is your HADR might crash. What if your primary HADR is crashed? So a crazy guy like me just typed a command called DB2 stop force. Your entire instance is crashed. Right? Now what happens to the database here? So it's in still standby state. It's in still
Hello.
it's still in a standby state, but it's showing HADR connect status as disconnected. It is saying that remote catch up pending. Now what happens here is we lost the primary. Now we need to log into standby and we need to take over by force. Like a sudden crash. Like a sudden crash or primary is crashed. Now we need to log into secondary. We need to take over HADR and database htest by force. DB2 take over HADR or htest by force. By force. The moment you do that, your standby becomes primary, right? And your remote catch-up is disconnect. At least you have one mission to continue the business. Now after that, you will resolve the issues here and you will start here. on the crashed ones. Now these are the three very important exercises. Once your HADR setup is completed, how do you make primary as a standby and standby as a primary? In which order you stop? What happens if a primary HADR is crashed? There are other scenarios, automatic client reroute. We can talk on the later once you are comfortable to this point. Yes, Sayed, any questions?
Yeah, Ravi. Hello, Ravi. Did you hear me?
Yeah, you are audible, Sayed. Please go ahead. Any
Yeah.
questions?
So in the case when primary server is down, so the data will be uploaded to secondary server.
You can, because both are in sync, right? Because of this
Right.
replication.
Yes.
So you can quickly log into standby and start it
Hmm.
over by force. You can take over by
Oh,
force. But
right.
in normal situations, you don't use force option,
Mm-hmm.
right? Only in a crash situations.
Crash use. Right, Ravi.
Right. So I would like to share this recording immediately so that you can practice.
Yeah.
Because HADR
Okay.
is most of a practice stuff rather than anything. So
Mm-hmm.
you can do this on a single VM itself. But while
Yeah.
doing a restore, you have to specify this DB path and storage path.
Right.
Where yeah, when you are doing this restore, here you have to specify storage path as a separate storage path. Otherwise, it will try to overwrite the existing storage path.
Same.
That's going to
Same.
be bad.
Yes.
You have to give a different storage path.
Right, Ravi.
Okay.
In any other directory.
Any other
We need
directory?
to create two. Yes.
Right, something like this. DB2 restore test restore database test on mount storage test temp1 db path on. You have to use exactly same thing, just say that on and db path, the option.
Right. Right.
So that it won't overwrite, because what happens is when you are trying to restore, it will try to restore in the backed up directories. When you are taking the
Mm-hmm.
backup, whichever were your DB path and storage path, it tries to put it there.
Okay.
Right. So it will be a good practice, man. HADR is very advanced concept. In fact, you asked
Mm-hmm.
me to cover as part of your initial requirement. So better luck with this. Let me know
Yeah.
any issues anytime while doing this setup. But Federation,
Yeah.
HADR, don't miss it. It's mostly a setup. Once you are done with the setup, it's a cakewalk. Working with them is not that hard.
Okay.
So if I recap the mistake I have done here, and standby updated it as a DB2 INST1.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is DB2
Definitely. Yes.
INST2. That was the mistake I have done. So it's mostly
Yes.
a mistake, man. So once you have the communication happening, the firewall is taken care, the ports are open on both sides, so it should not be a
Mm-hmm.
problem.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So then I'll stop here for today. Tomorrow I'll
Okay.
be covering the performance tuning and table partitioning. And Saturday we'll be talking about your customized
Yes.
requirement.
Yes.
Thank you for today.